Hello viewers, it's Super GT here. Welcome to the video. So in this one, we are going to be having a look at this monster of a car here, the Ford Police Interceptor, the Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. Now this is part of the Spoke and Tyre car pack. And the first thing I can tell you about this car is that it is slow as fuck. Let's have a look. Off the line, 0 to 60 of about 10 years. Still not even to 60. I think my real life car is like 10 times quicker than this thing. So that's why we're going to tune it. We're going to do two tunes because I realise that this car can be tuned really well for drift and for speed. I've already done the speed tune, but we'll have a look at it as well. So first off, we're going to go and tune this up for drift. So first things first, when it comes to tuning, you normally want to go to conversion. And the engine swap, we are going to put the more powerful 5.8 litre V8 in, of course. And for the drivetrain, we're going to leave it on rear wheel drive. You also have all wheel drive there, but that is not for drifting at all. That's for the speed tune. So leave this on rear wheel drive. That gives us the power around the corners to hold those massive drifts. Aspiration, we're going to go with the twin turbo. Then it's a case of pretty much putting in all of the engine upgrades. And once we've done that, that leaves it just under A class, so top of B. Might as well whack in the brakes. It doesn't make too much difference. We're going to put in the race springs and dampers. And of course put in the anti-roll bars. Now I wouldn't bother with the chassis reinforcement, but I am going to go with a weight reduction. I've put all the drivetrain stuff in, and now for tyres and rims. And normally you're going to want to have worse tyres for drifting, I would imagine, but this car really worked quite well with the race tyre compounds. We're going to go with that again. Then just put on some rims that you think look nice and pretty. We'll put those ones on. Now as for the aero and appearance, front bumper and rear wing doesn't really matter too much. We're just going to put that one on because it looks pretty cool. Rear wing we're not going to put on because that just adds downforce, which you don't really want for drifting. And then on the bonnet, this is where you put on the sirens, etc. But we're just going to leave that with that setting there. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all you have to do. And then you've got yourself a very cool drift car. So when I'm drifting, when I'm drifting, which is pretty much never, but I do like to whack up the front tyre pressure quite a lot more. So I'm going to put that to 40. Increases the responsiveness, and then put the rear just down to about 28. Then that should make the car a lot better to drift. So now that we've done all of that, we are going to test this thing out on a drift zone. First thing you'll notice is the incredible amount of wheel spin. There we go, look at that. It does hold the drift really nicely. Let's turn this thing around and give it a go on this double hairpin drift zone. Now I don't have 3 stars, so this is a good opportunity to prove myself. Let's see exactly what this thing is made of. It's actually really good at drifting. And I needed 60,000 to get 3 stars, and I've done that quite easily. Okay, we're going to try that again because I know I can do better than that. So let's give it a go. Just letting the car oversteer as you change gear. It pretty much gives you the onus for the car to turn around like that. Use the handbrake, it kind of slows it down a little bit too much. And rack out quite a decent amount of score here. So we're already higher than we were before. Now I'm mashing all the buttons and changing view, which isn't the right thing to do. 81,000 that time. So, and I think tuning and building the car correctly really is very important. As I say, you don't want to just take any old car and try and get these drift zones. It's really hard to get 3 stars unless you have a proper car for it. So this is part of the Smoke and Tyre car pack, which is very recently released. Now a lot of people are probably going to complain about that, the fact that the DLC has come out so soon after release. But that is the way games are these days. The DLC is pretty much made all before and then just released at a certain date, normally very soon after the game is released. But you know, that is the way it is these days. And you know what, for me, I don't mind too much. But that is the drift build for this car. Let's have a look at the speed build. Okay, so this is the current car I'm using, the drift build. And you can see the stats there, 8.6, acceleration 8 on launch, midway through S1 class. But then if we go to the other one, so this is the race build one, all-wheel drive, as you can see there, 10 launch, 9.7 acceleration, speed handling and braking all fairly decent as well. So let's have a look at how we build this car. So everything is pretty much the same compared to the other car, but we are using the drivetrain for 4-wheel drive instead of the stock drivetrain of rear-wheel drive. So change that to all-wheel drive, and that gives you the acceleration and launch and just general control when coming off the line, because in the other car you're just spinning tyres for days and you're not going anywhere. You will just be spending so much time creating smoke and not much else. And then as for the aspiration, we're going to use the stock positive displacement supercharger instead of the twin turbo, because that takes us over into S2 class. So if you want to have a good car for S1 class and keep it on S1, then use the stock aspiration. Now, as a bit of a joke there, you can see I have used 24-inch rims. So I've gone on here. You can change the size of the rims, front rim size, whack it up to 275 30R 21. So not 24-inch, 21-inch, but still pretty darn big, and looks a bit silly on a police car. But there you go, that's Forza Horizon 3 for you. So mainly for the trolling factor, we're going to enter this car into a street race. Now, I've never quite understood on this game the commentator person always telling you that, well, they're basically frowning upon the street racing when just hit Iron Woman again, when normally you're just driving along, smashing cars, getting near misses and doing all that kind of stuff. But then as soon as you enter into what is officially called a street race, they lose their shit. But here we go, let's see if the cops can beat the so-called street racers. Now I have become one of them. Now this car is going to top out here. Can it quite reach 200 miles an hour? Let's see, 188. As we come into the first right-hander, a bit stiff, but it is going to make it around. Now let's not forget that this is on unbeatable AI, so it's not going to be easy. It never is, especially when you go flying into the back of your opposition and pretty much kill yourself. And again into the back of the Jaguar, and we're down in last place. So perhaps this race tune isn't so racy after all, as we go into the back of another car. And it doesn't help that I am driving into the back of other people. I find that normally if you tend not to crash, you often do better in races, but that's just my observation. Let's see what we can do. Can we overtake at least one car before the end of this race? Yes, it looks like we can, and the second one, going flying past the GTR. As we come towards the end, this car is quick in a straight line. I just need to tweak the handling ever so slightly though. As we come across the line, actually nearly catching up with 9th and 8th place there. Finishing 10th in a field of unbeatable cars, so not too bad I guess. Okay, so it turns out that I had left on the tyre pressures for a drift build, which doesn't help, so let's go properly now. I've tweaked the tyre pressures back down to what they should be. I think I left the front tyre pressure on 55, which is the maximum setting, and it didn't really work out. I had just had understeer. Houston, we have understeer. So now we can try with a proper setup, as this guy just wants to force me off the road. That is proper AI driving for you though. Almost falling off the cliff, just about staying on, and the car, I can really feel the difference. It wants to stay on the track, and as I say that, I drive off the track. But it does feel a lot better, so this is a more ideal setup. So whatever you do, if you want to have a race build, don't leave your tyre pressures on 55 at the front, because you just won't turn at all. So this is a lot quicker this time. Still a bit of understeer though, I have to admit, and I'm just going to go flying into him, so we're going to rewind that. Yes, I am being a rewind noob, and that wasn't much better. Okay, so now that I've sorted my shit out, I can actually drive around a corner. We're going to pick up the pace here. Now we're coming up to a very twisty section, so this can really test out the handling of the car. And it's in the rain and it's at night, so not the easiest conditions by any means to drive in. And I'm forgetting to change gear here as I'm commentating too much. Actually keeping up quite nicely with these, let's not forget, unbeatable AI. So not too bad. If you can keep up with unbeatable AI, then you're doing quite well. And that must mean this car is pretty darn good. Now I'd like to use this car online at some point, mainly for the trolling factor, and it'd just be pretty fun to see other people's responses when they see a police car right up behind them. So 72% of this race done, not long left to go, and I'm misjudging this horribly. Okay, bit of straight line action here. Let's see what we can do down the straight. Let's get in the slipstream of this guy ahead in third place, and let's see if actually we can gain a couple of positions. We've got a right, left, right section coming up at the end of the race. Are the AI going to brake for no reason? Well, we are actually gaining on them here, so we might gain 1 or 2 positions. One definitely, and the second not quite. Nissan GTR just pipping me to the line. The third place there, so you can see that this car is pretty darn good for racing once you get the right tuning set up on it. Okay, so I'm going to share this tune, and all round, yeah, I think all round is best. Best describes it. Best for handling. I don't even know what to go with here. I'm going to say good all round. I think it's a good all round car. Description is going to be you what, mate, and we're going to go with that. So that tune is now available on my storefront, which you can see here. I've only got 2 tunes on there, but there are some on here. What do I have? I have one for the Mercedes, the drift machine, and we have the police racer as well. So if you want to get yourself a couple of tunes, then you can follow my storefront. There it is. And that's going to bring a close to this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this car, on the DLC in general, and on the Smoke and Tyre car pack, which is now available for those of you who weren't aware, or if you're living under a rock and haven't seen the million videos on the police car and the Aston Martin Vulcan in the last day or two. So yeah, that is going to bring a close to this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of the same. Hit that like button if you did like the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.